This is Meet Sean, where we break down real life topics insurance, annuities, real estate, travel planning, and home ownership so you can make smarter moves. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
Okay, picture this. It's the nightmare scenario. You've spent, what, 6 months saving up?
Right.
You've been living in a construction zone, just breathing in drywall dust, eating takeout for weeks.
Pizza boxes everywhere.
Everywhere. And the new addition is finally framed up. It looks amazing. You can see the vision. And then some guy in a high-vis vest walks onto your property, clipboard in hand, shakes his head, and slaps this bright red sticker on your window. Stop work order.
Ugh, the red tag of doom.
Red tag of doom. Your stomach just drops. The crew starts packing up their tools. The timeline you had, gone. It just exploded.
Yeah.
In that moment, every homeowner dreads, right? The collision with bureaucracy.
It is the ultimate buzzkill. And look, let's be honest. Nobody gets excited about going down to the municipal building department.
No.
It just feels like red tape. Like it was designed specifically to slow you down, to bleed your budget.
Exactly. It feels adversarial. A shakedown even. But we've got a stack of research here today that's asking us to do something, well, a little difficult. We're looking at a guide. It's titled Permits and Inspections, What You Can Control and What You Can't. And the core argument here is, it's pretty counterintuitive. It's saying we need to stop looking at permits as the enemy and start seeing them as what?
A weapon, as a tool for control. That's the reframe we're going for in this deep dive. The source material argues that if you can just strip away all that frustration, permits and inspections are actually the only way you have to guarantee three things.
Okay.
Safety, legality, and this is the one people always miss, the future financial value of your home.
Okay, see, that last one is what I want to dig into, because usually I just see the permit fee as money leaving my account and not protecting it. But before we get to the money, let's define the terms. I feel like permits and inspections get tossed around together.
They do.
But they're not the same thing, are they?
No, not at all. They're two halves of the same whole. Think of it like a recipe versus the taste test. The permit is the permission slip.
Yeah.
That's the planning phase. You give your drawings to the local government, and they check them against the building codes. They're basically saying, okay, on paper, this looks safe. It won't fall down. It won't catch fire.
So the permit is the theory.
Precisely. The permit is the theory. The inspection, that's the reality check. That is the enforcement. That's when someone comes out to your house, stands there in the mud, and says, okay, you promised to build it this way. Did you actually do it?
Verifying the theory.
Verifying that the physical reality matches the approved plan.
Right. So let's just tackle the cynicism head on. Because I know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking. This is just a money grab. I mean, I have to pay the city $500, maybe $1,000 just for the privilege of fixing my own bathroom. Is there any truth to that? That this is just a revenue stream?
Well, there's always a little truth to cynicism, sure. Municipalities need revenue. But if you really look at the history of building codes, which is what permits are all about, they are, and this sounds dark, but they're written in blood.
That is dark.
It is, but it's true. These aren't arbitrary rules made up to annoy you. They're almost always reactions to disasters, fires, balcony collapses, things that killed people. The permit process is really just a gatekeeper to make sure you're not accidentally building a death trap.
So it's less, give us your money, and more, please don't burn down your neighborhood?
Exactly. And that actually leads to the biggest myth the source material tries to bust. And this one is dangerous. It's the contractor myth.
Oh, I know this one. This is, I hired a professional, I wrote a huge check, so the paperwork, that's their problem.
Right.
And that sounds logical to me. If I hire a mechanic, I don't tell him how to fix the engine.
It sounds perfectly logical, but it's legally dead wrong. The source makes this crystal clear. While your contractor might, fill out the forms for you, the ultimate legal responsibility, it lies with the property owner.
Wait, really? So if I hire a contractor and he decides to cut a corner, skip the permit to save a little time, and the city finds out, I'm the one who gets in trouble?
You're the one who owns the building. The fines, they're levied against your property. If the city says, we need to see the plumbing, they're ripping out your walls, not the contractors.
That is terrifying. Because I think most people just assume the contract protects them from that.
The contract might protect you if you want to sue the contractor later.
Yeah.
Maybe. But the city, they don't care about your private contract. They care about the code. The source really emphasizes this. Even with the best contractor in the world, you need to verify. Ask to see the physical permit. Don't just trust that it's being handled.
Verify, don't trust. Okay. Let's play devil's advocate for a second, though.
But
I'm finishing a basement, I'm handy, I know what I'm doing. Why not just fly under the radar? Besides a fine, what's the actual value in doing it the hard way?
well, let's look at the risks beyond just a fine. The biggest one is the redo. So imagine you finish that basement, drywall's up, carpet's down. It looks great.
Yep.
And then the city finds out. Maybe
Yeah.
a neighbor complains. An inspector comes out.
And they see a finished room that, on paper, doesn't exist.
Exactly. They can't see the wiring. They can't see if you use the right kind of drywall. And so they can, and very often will, make you tear it all open,
So you're paying to build it, then paying to destroy it, then paying to build it again.
plus the fines. It's a triple loss.
Yeah.
But let's get to that aha moment you mentioned.
Right.
The future value. Because we don't just live in our homes, we treat them like banks. We sell them.
This is the resale angle.
This is the resale angle.
Yeah.
Think about a home buyer in 2026. They're savvy. Their inspectors are thorough. If you're selling a house and you list it as, say, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, but the city records say 4-bedroom, 2-bath, you have a massive problem on your hands.
Right. The buyer sees that extra bathroom and they don't see a feature, they see a liability.
A ticking time bomb. They don't know if the plumbing's right. They don't know if the shower leaks behind the wall. It gives them huge leverage to demand a price cut, or they just walk away. The source argues the permit is an invisible asset. You're basically buying a certified pedigree for your house.
It's like a Carfax for your house. Proof it hasn't been in a wreck.
Exactly. It makes the asset liquid. Unpermitted work is an anchor that just drags the sale price down.
Okay, you have scared me straight. I want the permit, but I'm still intimidated. The source breaks this down into a timeline. What's the actual sequence here?
It's generally a 4-step flow, and the order really matters. Step 1 is just research. Don't buy a single 2x4 until you know the rules.
The measure twice, cut once of bureaucracy.
Yes. Step 2 is submission of detailed plans. Step 3 is approval, the green light. And step 4, the long one, is inspections. And this happens during the work, not just at the end.
That's a key point the article makes. I think a lot of people imagine the inspector shows up for a grand reveal, but it's really a series of checkpoints.
It has to be. Construction is about layers, right? You're always covering things up. The source highlights 3 really critical stages. First is the foundation inspection.
And this is when you're pouring concrete.
It is before you pour. This is critical. Once that concrete is hard, it is permanent. The inspector needs to see the trenches, the steel rebar. They need to make sure the footing is deep enough. If you pour before they see it, guess what?
Jackhammers.
Jackhammers. You are tearing it out.
Ouch. Okay, so foundation is approved. We pour. What's next on the list?
Next is the frame inspection. Some people call it the rough-in. This is the big one.
Okay.
The skeleton of the house is up. All the pipes and wires are run through the studs. But, and this is the golden rule, no insulation and no drywall.
Because again, you can't inspect what you can't see, but what are they looking for? That the wood is straight.
Oh, it's so much more. They're checking load paths, making sure the roof's weight is actually transferring all the way down to the foundation. And here's a big one, fire blocking.
Fire blocking? What's that?
Inside your walls, between the studs, there are these empty spaces. If a fire starts in the basement, those act like a chimney. They suck the fire right up to the attic in seconds. Fire blocking is just horizontal pieces of wood that block that airflow.
It buys you time.
It buys you time to get out. An inspector checks for that. If you drywall over it without fire blocking, you've built a fire highway in your walls.
Wow. That feels like a safety check I definitely want someone to do.
Right. And they check plumbing venting, too. If your drains aren't vented properly, you get sewer gas bubbling back up into your house.
Oh.
Very. So the inspector checks all those unseen systems, and then finally you get the final inspection. This is the victory lap.
In.
All the work is done. They're just checking for occupancy safety. Can you live here without getting hurt?
So for you listening, the big takeaway is scheduling. You have to build pause points into your project timeline. You can't just power through.
No. And if your contractor says, we'll just drywall it and call them later, that is a massive, massive red flag.
Now let's talk about the inspector themselves. I feel like there's this stereotype, right? The grumpy guy with the clipboard just looking for a reason to fail you. The source has a whole section on the human element. How much of this is just about people skills?
It's a surprising amount. The source says good communication goes both ways. You have to remember, these people are human. They're overworked, crawling into hot attics and muddy crawl spaces all day long.
So if you greet them with an attitude, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
100%. If you act like they're the enemy, they might just decide to go strictly by the book. And strictly by the book is always harder to pass. The source gives some great actionable tips on this. First up, site hygiene.
Keep it clean.
Keep it safe. If an inspector has to climb over a mountain of trash to get to the work, they're instantly in a defensive mindset. They're looking for hazards because the whole site feels hazardous.
That makes perfect sense. If it looks sloppy, they assume the work is sloppy.
And second, be prepared. Have the permit card posted. Have the approved plans, the big roll of drawings open on a table. Don't make them wait while you dig through your truck. Respect their time.
And the source mentioned being present for the inspection, right?
Ideally, yes, be there. Or have your contractor there. Because if the inspector sees some minor issue, a missing screw or something, if you're standing right there, you can say, oh, I can fix that right now. They might watch you do it and pass you on the spot if you're not there. That's an automatic fail, a reinspection fee, and a 3-day delay.
That's a huge pro tip. Being there can literally turn a fail into a pass.
Exactly. Treat them like a partner in safety, not like a cop.
Okay, so we're polite, we're clean, we're organized. But sometimes the timeline just goes off the rails anyway. The article has this section, what you can't control. What are these external forces working against us?
There are 3 big ones.
Yeah.
First is just city workloads, pure bureaucracy. The department's understaffed. There's a budget freeze. If there are fewer inspectors than there are jobs, you're going to wait. You're just a number in a long queue.
And you can't really yell your way to the front of that line.
No. Trying that usually moves you to the back. The second uncontrollable is regulatory changes. This is so frustrating. Codes change. Maybe the energy code gets updated. If your plans were drawn under the old code, but you didn't submit them in time, you're back to the drawing board.
Ugh, that sounds expensive.
It is. And the third one is the most obvious, but also the most disruptive. Weather.
Rain delays. Everyone knows about rain delays.
But it's more than that. The source notes that severe weather diverts resources. If a hurricane comes through, inspectors aren't coming to check your bathroom. They're out doing damage assessments on dangerous buildings.
So the whole system gets paralyzed. It's not just that the roofer can't work. The inspector's been drafted into emergency service.
Right. You can't inspect a roof in a thunderstorm. Simple as that.
Okay, that's all pretty depressing. But the article is called What You Can Control. So how do we fight back against the chaos?
You fight back with preparation. Strategy number 1, start early. The biggest mistake people make is compressing their schedule. If you need that kitchen done by Thanksgiving, do not start the permit process in October.
You're just setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. Give yourself a buffer. Strategy 2, complete applications. The source says this is the #1 cause of avoidable delays. Incomplete paperwork.
The Swiss cheese application.
Exactly. A missing signature. The wrong scale on a drawing. If you submit a messy application, it gets rejected and sent right to the bottom of the pile. A flawless, boring, perfect application is the fastest way through the system.
Boring is good in bureaucracy.
Boring is fast. And finally, follow up. Be a squeaky wheel, but a polite one. Check the status online. Call to confirm. Don't just hit send and hope for the best.
Now, there's one last piece here that the source brings up for really complex projects, something called a permit expediter. This sounds like a fixer from a movie. Is that a real job?
Oh, it's very real. And for certain projects, it's worth its weight in gold. A permit expediter is a professional, often a former city planner or an architect, who exists solely to navigate this system for you.
So you hire them to deal with the headache.
You hire them because they speak the language, they know the codes inside and out, they know the specific quirks of the local office, and they know exactly how to structure an application so it doesn't get rejected.
When do you need one? Do I need an expediter for my powder room?
Probably not. That's overkill. But if you're doing a big commercial build or a complex overhaul of a historic home, yes, that's when you call in an expert.
It's like the Sherpa principle. You're climbing a small hill, you can do it yourself. You're climbing Everest. You hire a Sherpa who knows where all the crevasses are hidden.
That is a perfect analogy. The cost of that expert is often way less than the cost of the delays and mistakes you'd make on your own. It all comes back to control. Knowing when you're out of your depth and hiring help is a form of control.
I love that. So as we wrap this up, let's circle back to where we started. That red tag, the frustration, that feeling that the city is out to get you.
Yeah. The takeaway really has to be a shift in mindset. You have to move from being a victim, the city is doing this to me, to being a project manager. The permit isn't a weapon against you. It's your shield.
It's the shield that protects your family from, a fire and protects your wallet when you go to sell the house.
Precisely. And I'll leave you with this thought on that invisible value we talked about. When you walk into an open house, you get emotional, right? You fall in love with the quartz countertops, the fresh paint, the eye candy. But the real value, it's hidden. It's in the walls, and it's in that paper trail. That piece of paper is the only thing that proves the foundation won't crack next year, that the wires won't spark while you're sleeping. So when you look at a house, you have to ask yourself, is the paperwork as solid as the walls? Because if it isn't, those walls might not be standing for as long as you think.
That is a sobering thought to end on. Before you pick up that sledgehammer or hire the guy who says he can do it cheaper, cash only, just think about your future self. Do the research. Your bank account will thank you. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Stay safe out there.
That's it for today's Meet Sean. If this helped, follow the show and share this episode with one person who needs it. See you next time.